Pope Francis, the 266th leader of the Roman Catholic Church, passed away peacefully on Easter Monday, April 21, 2025, at the age of 88. His death has marked the end of a truly transformative era for the Church, one that emphasized humility, inclusiveness, and a renewed commitment to social justice and the marginalized. As Catholic faithful around the world mourn his passing, the Vatican is proceeding with solemn preparations for his funeral and the ensuing process to elect his successor. Final moments, a quiet passing in the heart of the Vatican. The Vatican reported that Pope Francis died at 7:35 a.m. Central European Summer Time, CST, at his personal residence, the Domus Sancti Marthae, located within Vatican City. His final moments were described by close aides as peaceful, discreet, and without prolonged suffering or dramatic alarm. According to official sources, the cause of death was a cerebral stroke that led to coma and cardiac arrest. For years, Pope Francis had been contending with a range of health issues, including chronic bronchial conditions, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. Immediately following his death, his body was respectfully laid out in an open casket within the private chapel of his residence, where those closest to him gathered to pay their first tributes. Images of his serene repose quickly spread, evoking an emotional response from Catholics and admirers worldwide. Public viewing and funeral plans. On Wednesday, April 23, Pope Francis's body was transported in a solemn procession to St. Peter's Basilica, where he will lie in state until April 25. The Basilica will remain open late into the evening during this period, granting the faithful ample opportunity to say their final goodbyes. Lines of mourners, many of whom have traveled from distant countries, are expected to wrap around Vatican City. The funeral mass is scheduled for Saturday, April 26, at 10:00 a.m. local time in St. Peter's Square. The mass will be led by Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, the Dean of the College of Cardinals. The traditional Catholic rites of Ultima Commendatio and Valedictio, which honor the Pope's service and commend his soul to God, will be performed. In keeping with his character and personal wishes, Pope Francis requested a simpler and humbler burial than those of his predecessors. He will be interred at the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome, a site of deep Marian devotion that he visited frequently during his papacy. This marks a significant departure from tradition, as most popes of recent history have been buried within the crypts of St. Peter's Basilica. His burial will consist of a simple wooden coffin, lined with zinc, reflecting his lifelong emphasis on modesty and the dignity of simplicity. Global mourning and a tapestry of tributes. The Vatican declared a period of 9 days of mourning, known as the Novendio. During this time, special liturgies and prayer services will take place daily in honor of the late pontiff. The entire Roman Catholic world is observing this period with deep reverence, from the cathedrals of Europe to remote parishes in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. An unprecedented number of world leaders, religious figures, and dignitaries are expected to attend the funeral. Confirmed attendees include former U.S. President Donald Trump, UK opposition leader Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and Prince William, who will represent King Charles II and the British monarchy. Many others from various faiths and cultural backgrounds have expressed condolences and are planning to travel to Rome to pay their respects. A legacy etched in compassion and change. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in 1936, Pope Francis was the first Latin American pope and the first from the Jesuit order. His papacy was rooted in compassion and a commitment to the poor, the outcast, and the environment. Often referred to as the People's Pope, he was admired for his efforts to bring the Church closer to ordinary people, urging clergy to live simply and to reach out to those who are suffering. His encyclical Laudato Si called for urgent action against climate change and drew connections between ecological degradation and social injustice. He made history by opening doors to discussions on topics once considered taboo within the Vatican, such as the rights of LGBTQ+ individuals, divorce, and gender equality. Although his views often sparked controversy among more conservative Catholics, they invigorated hope and dialogue within the broader Church. He was also a bridge builder, working tirelessly to repair fractured relationships between religious communities, nations, and ideologies. His outreach to the Islamic world, including visits to Iraq and the UAE, as well as his efforts to reconcile with Eastern Orthodox churches, left a profound impact on interfaith dialogue. Voices from the faithful, remembering the people's Pope. Memories of Pope Francis continue to flood in from all corners of the globe. In Rizzo, where he visited for World Youth Day in 2013, many still recall the electric energy of his presence. One Brazilian volunteer remembered lifting a child toward him in the Pope mobile. Though a security guard initially signaled for the child not to be raised, the Pope noticed and reached out, kissing the boy on the forehead, blessing him, and then gently placing his hand on the volunteer's head as well. "He broke all protocols," she said, and showed us what humility and love looked like. In Manila, more than 6 million people gathered for his Mass in 2015, the largest papal gathering in history. In Africa, his visits to Mozambique and the Central African Republic were seen as acts of profound solidarity, drawing attention to overlooked humanitarian crises. What comes next? The path to a new pontiff. With the passing of Pope Francis, the Catholic Church has officially entered the period of sede vacante, the seat being vacant. During this time, the governance of the Church transitions temporarily to the College of Cardinals, which will soon convene in a conclave to elect the next pope. The conclave is expected to be held between May 5 and 11, 2025 inside the Sistine Chapel. Speculation already surrounds potential successors. Some cardinals and Vatican observers have voiced hope that the Church may now elect its first black pope, possibly from the African continent, which is seeing significant growth in Catholic membership and leadership. A legacy that lives on. The Pope Francis is no longer with us. The values he championed remain ever present. From his first words on the balcony of St. Peter's Buonasera, said with a humble smile, to his final acts of mercy and advocacy, he showed the world what it means to lead with compassion. His legacy will continue to inspire both current and future generations of Catholics and non-Catholics alike. As the bells of St. Peter's toll and candles flicker in churches across continents, the world collectively bows its head to honor a pope who, in many ways, redefined the papacy for the modern era. May he rest in peace, and may his example guide the Church into its next chapter.